Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today, I will explain an American black comedy horror film titled The Menu. It was released and distributed in 2022 by Searchlight Pictures and directed by Mylod. In the movie, a chef invites a group of diners to his restaurant on a private island, but the guests soon discover that the restaurant's twisted nature and his plan to kill them all before the night is out. The movie begins at a docking situation where two friends Tyler and Margot prepare to board a boat. They're preparing to board it to Hawthorne, a restaurant owned by a famous chef called Julian Sowick. The restaurant is located on a private island. Soon after the boat arrives along with other guests invited to the dinner, the guests are Lillian, a food citric, and her editor Ted, a wealthy couple, Richard and then George, a famous movie star, and his assistants Felicity, and three business partners, Soreen, Dave, and Bryce. A moment later, they settle on the boat and are served a special dessert that impresses Tyler. Not long after the guests arrive on the island, they are welcomed and given a tour of the island by the restaurant's head waiter Elsa, who is surprised to see Tyler at a different date for the dinner. She notes that Margot was not the Tyler's original plus for the dinner. He explains that the original guest, Mr. Westerwelt, could not longer make it to the trip. Elsa finally brings them to the restaurant's dorm where she and the guests are staying for the rest of their stay of the island. Elsa briefs them about their daily routine and the meal times before asking them to join her for the first meal. The guests follow to the restaurant. On the way, Tyler stops at a cottage and asks if they could show them around. But Elsa tells him that it's the chef's cottage and adds that even the restaurant staff isn't allowed into it. Shortly after, the guests arrive at the restaurant, but Elsa doesn't feel comfortable as the doors are shut, trapping the guests inside. Elsa catches Margaret staring around suspiciously and interrupts her. She escorts her to her table where Tyler and she would be having her meal. Elsa tells the guests to watch the cooks prepare their meals but warns them to not take photographs of their dishes. Tyler urges Elsa to join him, observing the cooks. Shortly after, Tyler ends up impressing one of the cooks and he's surprised to learn that the cook knows his name. The cook explains to Tyler that all the members of the staff know the names of all the guests invited to the island. Tyler finally spots the chef Julian inspecting the meals. Moments later, their meals are served, the guests enjoy their first course, and Tyler secretly takes pictures of the dish. However, Elsa spots him from afar. Unsuspecting, Tyler continues to talk about his interest to chefs regarding chefs, as chefs men who toy with the raw materials of life and death. Margaret was impressed by his words sometime after the chef orders the next course to be served. Julian addresses to the guest for the first time since their arrival. Julian tells them that throughout their stay they will ingest many delicacies and tells them to taste and take in their meal rather than just eating it as it is too precious. Tyler is moved by Julian's words and sheds a tear. Shortly after the next course is served, this time the cooks have made their special dish from all the edibles on the island. The guests enjoy their course and the couple describes the meal as eating the ocean. As the guests eat, Elsa walks around observing them. Later, the next course is ready and the cooks again serve the guests. This time, the cooks have prepared them tiny portions of sauce-like meal, but refuse to serve the guests bread. On Julian's orders, again the guests are impressed with the chef's culinary genius, but Julian is impressed by their positive reactions. Margaret isn't impressed with the dish. In the meantime, the businessman politely asks Elsa to give them a bread, but she refuses, upsetting the man. When Margaret insists that she will not eat, Tyler accidentally knocks a wine glass. Julian is surprised that Margaret hasn't touched her food, but she argues with him over the portions. Julian politely asks her to eat the food, but she insists. Julian leaves and Tyler scolds her for humiliating the chef. A while after, another course is being prepared, which Julian hopes will create a memory for the guests. As he talks about a sad childhood memory, Julian introduces the guest to his alcoholic mother, who he saved from his alcoholic father by stabbing him in the thighs with kitchen scissors. Julian wishes that he had stabbed his father in the throat, and the guests stare at him in horror. At that moment, their meal is served, and this time the guests are served a dish with roasted chicken thighs with chicken scissors. The guests discover the pictures of themselves printed onto the tortillas. They were served and Tyler panics, and when he sees the picture of himself taking pictures of dishes earlier on the tortilla, Tyler worries that Julian hates him, but Margaret was suspicious of Julian's intentions. The businessmen find images of their fraudulent business transactions on their tortillas, and they become paranoid. In the meantime, Tyler and Margaret get into an argument about the tortillas, and Tyler insults her for disrespecting Julian's kitchen. Margaret enters the ladies' room, but she's interrupted by Julian, who was upset when she wasn't eating his food. Margaret says that she isn't hungry, but Julian threatens her and reminds her that she wasn't invited for this dinner. The fourth course was prepared by Jeremy Loudon, a Hawthorne sauce chef. Jeremy pulls out a gun and commits suicide, causing the guests to scream. Julian tries to pacify the guests by telling them that Jeremy's suicide was just a performance. The next course is served, and Julian orders the terrified guests to eat. The couple Richard and Librand insist on leaving but are stopped by the guards, and one of their fingers is cut off. Julian sends for Margaret and warns her that everyone will die that night and must decide if they want to die with the staff or the guests, since her presence was unplanned. The guests start to panic, and Julian tells the guests that they're selective them because they're contributing to the loss of interest in their craft. He no longer feels good about the cooking. Suddenly, Julian drowns the restaurant's main investor in front of the guests and summons Margaret back into his office to decide her fate. He makes her a member of his staff and tells the guests that the male diners can make their escape, but they're returned by the staff Later, Julian reveals that he invited Tyler and his now ex-girlfriend, who were aware that everyone would die at the diner. He asks why he hired Margaret, who was actually named Aaron, to be his escort, knowing she would die. Shortly after, he asks Tyler to cook as everyone watches, but Tyler cooking is terrible. Julian humiliates Tyler further and talks to him about committing suicide, hanging himself in a storeroom. Julian tells Aaron that she is a part of the staff and asks her to collect a barrel, which is needed for the dessert. Aaron finds a knife while retrieving the barrel, but Elsa attacks her, accusing Aaron for attempting to play place. Aaron finds a radio and calls for help before returning to the restaurant. Moments after, a Coast Guard officer arrives when he is revealed to be the line cook, and he returns to the kitchen. Julian discovers Aaron's betrayal and makes her a member of the guests as punishment. She recalls seeing a picture of younger and happy Julian working at a fast food restaurant and asking him to make a cheeseburger and fries. Julian is inspired and prepares the meal, after which Aaron takes a bite and she praises the food and then asks if she could have it to go. A happy Julian packs the food for her and lets her leave, thanking her for dining at her restaurant. Aaron escapes the island on boat as Julian covers the guests with small marshmallow caps and chocolate hats. Finally, he will set the restaurant ablazing, killing everyone as Aaron watches from the boat. That is all we have for the video today. I hope you guys enjoyed watching the video, and if you did, do consider subscribing, and thanks for watching. Bye.